Monday, make like Bez and shake your tambourine. So, oh my God, I've not said that for ages. So tonight I'm going to be here to talk with you and share things that you need to know about the Creative Flow program. And this is titled, Why Join Creative Flow? Ultimately, you make the choice, you make that decision. And if it feels right for you, then I want you to just leap in and give it your all. Allow yourself to embrace the creative flow. Step into creative flow. If it doesn't feel right, that's your choice as well. So I love the fact that as humans, we get to choose these things. We get to embrace those things. But sometimes it can feel like we don't have choice. It can feel like we are maybe stuck between a rock and a hard place. It can sometimes feel that one choice or another choice is maybe restrictive or maybe limiting. And it could maybe feel very overwhelming. Life can feel like very stuck sometimes. And when I've been talking about creativity and the Creative Flow program and the intention of this, what comes up mostly for me and mostly in the messages that I share is the fact that the Creative Flow program is here to meet you where you are, whatever level you're coming into, whether you're completely new to making art in a therapeutic way, or whether it's something that you've been practicing for a long time and you want to expand and really develop where you're coming from. It might be that you haven't made any art for years, perhaps, but you're really into self-development and you're really into choosing to lean into your own self-care right now, more so than ever. And that actually you recognise that art and creativity, which isn't just about art, it's about problem solving, it's about coming up with solutions for things, it's about allowing yourself to think differently and feel differently and explore different possibilities, maybe be a new version of yourself. Using that creativity as a way of healing and as a way of exploring who you are, exploring your purpose, finding purpose and meaning in your life and stepping into your creative era. So actually, it might be that one of the benefits in particular fits in with this, but it might be that you've been struggling with the impact of perimenopause or other transitional lifing stuff, but particularly perimenopause, because I can relate with that. I'm 47, I know I don't look it, but I've had so long in these last sort of 7 years since turning 40, and probably for about 5 years before then, I have really been impacted by the changes within me, by my hormones, by sort of gynecological stuff going on for me. And that's really affected my mental health. It's really affected my well-being. So I've had to really put a lot of effort in to work on my well-being, particularly when I've had operations to fix my health, to be working with my health. So actually, for instance, if you've already seen this, if you know me, if you see my content, you'll know that I had an operation last year. I had a hysterectomy. And part of that is that I was needing to physically heal. I was needing to go through all of the steps, bit by bit, one step at a time, to physically heal from my ailments, from having fibroids. And then actually, once I'd physically healed, that's where the real healing started. It needed to come from within. It needed to be me healing my nervous system. And that's why I'm really practicing, have been practicing, and it's like what I teach you inside the Creative Flow program comes from a place of awareness and my own personal experience of using these tools and techniques for my own personal growth and development and expansion, energetically getting my nervous system back fully on track, rather than being fragmented and only relying on the healing, the physical healing. So when we think about ourselves as humans, we have this thing that's like in our minds a lot of the time. And what can feel better, what's better for our mental health, is when we connect with our hearts, when we get out of our head and into our heart. And what art therapy does, and how art therapy is used in the Creative Flow program, is that we go for things from like a bottom-up approach. So thinking about the sensory ways of using art, and then connecting with the emotions, and then thinking more cognitively about the meanings of that. So what that might look like for you is choosing to use different art materials depending on how your energy levels are. So actually art can be used, and you could choose that intention. Have that intention, and I'll help you with this. Have that intention where you say, what I'm wanting to do is feel a bit calmer right now, or I'm maybe wanting to feel more relaxed. So there'll be certain art activity that you can choose to do depending on your personal preference that will calm your nervous system. Whereas on the other hand, if you are maybe feeling quite flat in energy, maybe in freeze, then you might want to use some art and choose to use art to activate your nervous system and get into flow, be able to make something that feels much more maybe much more energetic. So one of the things that we talk about when we're thinking about the nervous system and thinking about emotional regulation is how, if you're up here agitated, stressed, like maybe angry, maybe overwhelmed, and you wanting to get to here that's maybe more in flow, or to calm down, sometimes people would feel really stressed and then do something to calm down, but then actually they don't feel calm, then they feel numb, or they feel frozen, may feel stuck, and actually that's not a desirable place. It may look calm from the outside, but actually it doesn't feel good energetically. You can feel from that place, it can feel like really helpless and hopeless sometimes. It can feel really hard to be productive and do things that you love. You might lose motivation, or you may find it hard to connect with people. You may find it hard to maybe get into work and do things. But what we're striving from is to get into that middle zone where you're in a green zone, if you like. So if we've got red up here, we've got blue down here. This is like the green zone where you're much more in flow, focused, aligned, flowing, having fun, allowing yourself to have fun. And in a way, if you have if you're kind of leaning into it and you think, I want to have fun, then you can get to the point where it feels too much, actually. And that can feel really overwhelmed. And I see this in a lot of children, where it's maybe much more visible because children tend to be open to express their emotions more readily depending on their experiences. Whereas we see it in adults a lot as well, because adults can maybe do quite risky behaviours sometimes, or certain behaviours might be quite subtle. You might not see this as much. So the Creative Flow program, that was just a riff really about those things, but the Creative Flow program is designed to help you to use art and work out combining mindset as well, but using art in particular to regulate your nervous system. And then from that position of being regulated, you can really expand your creativity, develop a project that is where you're exploring who you are and exploring your experiences, expressing how you're feeling about certain things, and then shifting the meaning of those things to create new artwork. So we're starting off from a place where we need to pause and reflect and reset and then connect with the creativity, and then we're moving to being more active, taking action towards creating art that feels more interesting to you, something that you want into, that will bring joy, really, something that will make you feel more like you're having more fun with your art. And making art that's really, really creative. There's one thing making art and there's the other thing being creative. They don't always tie in hand in hand. You can make art and feel like a robot colouring in, or that can be a really good way of regulating. Or you can make art that feels much more expansive. And inside the Creative Flow programme, there are, because we've got the coaching sessions and because we've got the one-to-ones, you'll have an opportunity to really get to know where you are and what works for you and what's helpful and what's maybe not so helpful yet, like at the moment. But these are the sort of things that we wanted to maybe answer your questions about. And I've been an art therapist for 10 years now. I've been practicing art therapy since my first placement for 11 years. And prior to that, I was an art teacher. So this programme allows for the therapeutic art and the mindset and the mental health practitioner stuff to come through, as well as the technique and technical stuff. So if you've got technical things, for instance, if you're wanting to learn something to help you express a particular emotion or a particular narrative about yourself or about something that's been going on for you, but what's blocking you, what's holding you back is maybe not having the technical skills to express yourself in a way that you truly want, then I can help you with that. We're not doing kind of an art class. It's not like going to an art class or going to a workshop where everyone makes the same thing. Everyone will be doing something different. But if the thing that's blocking you from expressing yourself is a technical thing to do with your art, then I'll absolutely help you with that. Because it might be that you want to do some things to do with landscapes or figures, or think of some ideas for symbols that might be a way of expressing yourself. It might be about some of using art materials like colour mixing and how the qualities of different art materials might matter to you, depending on like what effect you're wanting. So that's the kind of thing where it brings in the technical stuff. And the whole point of that is that it helps you to overcome that obstacle so that you can express yourself. So the overcoming the obstacles is one of those key things that feels quite an important factor, because there's lots of things that you can do to overcome obstacles, and we'll be looking into that. That's included in the digital content, as well as in the coaching sessions. We'll explore that with you more personally and more in the moment, like address certain things. And because the sessions are immersive, experiential, you're going to be there, I'm going to be there making things as well. We'll be actually getting involved. You'll be able to create something to practice some of those skills and then go away in between sessions and create something more. So you might want to come back in the next session and say, actually, I'm working on this little project here, but what I want to do is get into a habit of doing something smaller to regulate my nervous system. And then when my nervous system is regulated, I'll step into making my project that feels more me. So I literally feel like I'm rambling in this live, and that's okay, because I suppose what you get is the real raw me, the real true me. You're not going to get me coming up with something that's like perfectly articulated, perfectly planned and perfectly narrated. Although maybe a bit of planning in this video would have been good. But you're going to get me showing up and just having that responsiveness. So if you've ever been inside any of the workshops or in a group that I've ran, you'll know that I like to include people. So nobody's forced to talk if they don't want to. But equally, it's not one of these sort of chalk and talk things where I just tell you loads and loads of stuff and then you just listen. It's much more about gathering your ideas, working through what you're thinking about something, and really connecting and doing, like, looking at the reality of things. We're not about theory all up here. We're more about being here, coming from the heart. And the artwork, I've got paint all over my hands from doing some painting just tonight. But the artwork is really key. Sometimes I would say that people underestimate the power and the benefits, the healing benefits of art making. Absolutely. And I see so many people who haven't made any art for years and years and years, but then choose to embrace art as they've missed it, and they really want to connect back into, like, that making, that allowing themselves to just be absorbed in that activity and enjoy it, and not have to think and overly think and analyse things. And sometimes have you ever been for a walk or been stuck for ideas or been a bit lost in your head, and then you've gone for a walk and your head feels really clear, and then suddenly you've got loads of ideas and inspiration? And art making is exactly the same. So you can be really stuck or really lacking motivation or really, like, maybe feeling quite down, or your mood could be like really flat and numb, or like you might be feeling stressed, and then start to make art and then suddenly things lift. I'm not saying that every time you make art it will cheer you up, but sometimes when you're making art it might actually trigger something that makes you kind of feel something, and that's okay, because you can handle this. Because actually, when you believe that all emotions are valid, being able to feel the hard stuff helps you to also experience the joy and the abundance and the love and the confidence that you can feel from being truly yourself, from stepping into that place of really allowing yourself to shine and allowing yourself to experiment with different things and play and mess around with something and make mistakes and do something just messy on purpose. Or if you're used to doing something, sometimes people avoid really trying their best because in case it may go wrong. But we can do this both sides. We can lean into the making something messy. We can lean into something like where you're really persevering, taking your time to draw something with details. And that actually can sometimes take more courage than trying something that is new, trying a new material, but doing something that you really have sustained, that where you may be really observing. And this is maybe where there's no hard and fast rule. It's purely about what sort of challenges, how you might use the art techniques, the art practice to then sort of explore things within your own life. So if you're able to persevere with a observational drawing, for instance, and overcome that obstacle of you getting to a point where you maybe need to keep going with it, or the things haven't gone according to plan, but you maybe then get problem solved through it, whether it's changing the colours or whether it's using a rubber or whether it's using something different. If you're able to do that, then your tolerance of frustration increases. So you can tolerate frustration, you can tolerate distress much more. And then as a result, that's reducing anxiety about the world, reducing the fact that uncertainty is hard, but you can still handle it. So you're allowing yourself to be able to go, okay, if I can persevere with this, or if I can allow myself to make a piece of art that's not finished, I can allow myself to step out the door without makeup, for instance, or I can allow myself to wear some clothes that I haven't worn in a long time, or wear a colour that I'm not used to wearing, or do something that's different. Maybe like try a new cooking dish that you wanting to go for, or do something that you just always wanted to do. Go for that promotion, for instance, and take that. Ask that guy or that girl that you've been into for a long time out on a date, because actually the rejection isn't a scary thing, but what holds you back is that fear of that. But then having this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense if you've got to this point. Thank you. But that, because you practiced overcoming the challenge and you've tolerated something going wrong, if, say, you put yourself in a risk and risked rejection, then you can feel neutral about it. So you can feel that it might feel upsetting, but actually you can feel more proud of yourself for trying, and then you can think, well, okay, well, the answer was no. I went for that job, the answer was no, but I allowed myself to try my best for it, even if the answer was no. Likelihood is when you do persevere with things that you're more likely to be seen better, but ultimately the outcome doesn't affect how you see yourself. Whether someone loves your art or hates your art, you're making stuff that you love, that you feel aligned with, and that actually, even if you don't make, it might be something that you don't like, but that does not affect how you see yourself. The final outcome isn't a reflection on who you are and your worth in the world. So the more you get into creative flow, the more you give yourself permission to show up, even if you don't know how things are going to go, even if you might feel that you're stepping out of your comfort zone and you might need to take a risk, that you may be feeling that you need to be putting yourself in a vulnerable place. Sometimes actually planning is is stepping out of a comfort zone, because actually that can be a risk. But honestly, I feel a bit like me talking about this doesn't make any sense now. So what I'm going to do is love you and leave you just now. Ultimately, you have got a week and 2.5 hours to sign up to the Creative Flow programme to secure your place. And one of the things that's really important to note is that this will give you tools that you can use for life, really. It put you in a place where you can feel better about yourself, more confident, more aligned. The creativity part is amazing, expanding your creativity, but how you, and your self-expression, but how you feel about yourself on the inside is really what it's all about. And that is priceless, really. It's like, what would it be worth to step out of your door in the morning, feel like confident in your own skin, and feel that no matter what happened, you are worthy of a good life and that you are actually happy being you. So that to me is priceless. So if you are wanting to join and you've watched this all the way through and you want more clarity, you want clearer videos, because this might just be the needle mover for you. You might think like, I want a bit of her in my life, waffling on. If you want some more clearer videos talking about the Creative Flow programme, have a look in the link in my bio, read through the information, have a watch of like the recent videos. Anything that I post this week will confirm the key message, which is all about self-expression, unleashing that creativity and helping you be the best version of you possibly can. And if you want to ask me any questions, if you want to find a time where we can talk together, then send me a message and we can set up a little Zoom call or a phone call to talk about how the Creative Flow programme can help you in particular and what sort of focus you might have, because everyone's focus would be different depending on where they are and depending on where they want to go. So thanks so much, everyone. Stay creative, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.